we send our kids to school and tell them you must get an A, you must do your best, you must achieve all that and become all that you can, right? And then we don't as adults. That's interesting.
If you can't write a contract on the back of your car on a Saturday night, then you don't know enough. All you have to do is show up. Just show up and you can succeed. Let's get to the point.
Our top guys and ladies have always had coaches, and they even transition coaches when their perspective changes, like as their team grows from 4 people to 6 to 10, and then they eventually get out of the business from, like John working every day to where he's going to help them grow their wealth. And, but getting buy-in to the accountability, to hold yourself accountable as human to go there is the issue, right?
Well, and what's interesting, and I say this to agents that I coach all the time, is coaching is not something you outgrow. Coaches are someone you may outgrow.
Right.
So never outgrow coaching, because coaching is that accountability. And the picture that I use for coaching is that of a mirror. And I have a hunch that you looked in a mirror this morning, right?
Yeah, sure.
And most people look in the mirror in the morning. And if you think about why mirrors work, mirrors work because we approach the mirror with an ideal self. We know what we should look like. And the mirror is an accountability tool that says on track, off track, ahead of track. We call that a good hair day, right? And if we approach the mirror and the mirror feeds back to our ideal self that we're on track, we just go on about our way and we do the work of the day. If we're off track, we correct it. We fix our makeup, our hair, or get something out of our teeth or what have you. And then we strut if we're having a good hair day where we're better than our ideal self. And when you think about the most successful agents, they have a mechanism in place that says on track, off track, ahead of track, celebrate. But they also behind that have the ideal self, because when dogs approach mirrors, dogs don't have an ideal self. So they bark at the dog in the mirror because it's not them. But humans have that dignity of being able to know an ideal self. And if we take the time to really get into that, and a good coach with accountability says the purpose of this business is to produce an ideal life, to fund an ideal life, and you keep coming back with those mirror moments that says on track, off track, ahead of track, celebrate, correct, or stay the course. And I think that that's what really successful agents do, is they know what their ideal life is and what they're pushing toward, and the mechanisms are there where they continually evaluate.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So, and true, we see that, and of course, in our top people, everybody else is looking for the easy way or an unaccountable way to get to whatever their goals are. But what I learned, my big aha from studying for this 411 class tomorrow, is connecting people to their big why, or their real idea of what the perfect life looks like.
Right.
And until they connect to that, then they let themselves off the hook. It's a sunny day, company's coming, a rainy day, whatever it is.
Right.
And yet the pros show up every day, do their job.
Well, and you mentioned 411 for our listeners.
Okay.
That's, break that down. What is a 411 and why does it work as an accountability tool?
Yeah, 411 is 4 weeks, turns up to 1 month goals, and then 1 year goals. So your 1 year goals trickle down, and then your daily activities lead to specific numbers.
Right.
With contacts and then appointments.
So it's a chunking down mechanism where we know our whole year, and then we break it down. What do I need to do on a monthly basis? And then what do I need to do on a weekly basis, which becomes daily? What I like about the 411, I always say, well, I don't know why they didn't call it the 114, because you really trickle down.
True.
Is you take 1 week at a time and then evaluate, look in the mirror. And then you correct or double or stay the course, correct or stay the course. And so you're moving through the 4 weeks of the month always evaluating and coming back. But it comes back to, you got to take the time to say, what does my ideal year look like?
Yeah.
Otherwise, any direction will go.
Yeah, it goes all different ways. So some people will automatically say $100,000 with no basis to it.
Right.
So there's no connection to their why. And then we see those ladies and gentlemen show up in real estate. They take courses for 90 days and disappear.
Right.
And then they eventually go out of business in 12 to 14 months. I guess that's NAR statistics. Over 80% of the people who get into real estate.
Yeah, 87% will not renew their license at the first renewal.
Right. Real estate was harder than they thought, cost more, and took longer. And they just never wanted the accountability to be able to compete in a market with professionals who really do it every day like we have.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So that thing that tells you you've got to correct. I tell, and sometimes it has to be painful. I have an accountability mechanism in my life, and I've had it since I'm 56 years old, and I've had it since I was about 23 years old. And do you know what it is?
No.
It's a prosthesis.
Oh.
I lost my arm when I was 9 years old, and at 23, 24 years old, I had a prosthesis made, and it's the old the classic, but it's a hard socket. Well, here's the thing: as I gain weight, I can't wear it. So for 30 years almost now, a little over 30 years, it has held me accountable to say, hey, you're gaining weight, lose weight, or otherwise you won't. And I just didn't wear my arm today, but it's one of those mechanisms that I use to always course correct. And it's worked for 30 years on my weight. Is, hey, correct it, dial it in, or go spend $20,000 on a new arm. And I think our agents, we need things like that. I know it's a weird example, but we need things like that that always brings us back to on track, off track, on track, off track.
Yeah, Gary Keller, Keller Williams, talks about goals being immovable objects. So if you truly look at them as immovable objects, I'm not going to adjust the goal downward. I'm just going to figure out how to achieve it. You will.
Right.
And with accountability, you can go there and you can be, have, or do anything you choose to, right? And in Gary's books, and that's what, we're with Keller Williams, we read all these books and we're connected to them. It's about you can be anything you can dream of within 5 years if you think big enough to do that. And
what he says is we overestimate what we can do in 1 year. We underestimate what we can accomplish in 5.
Right. That's right. So that's what I'm going to connect. The goal is for the class tomorrow and for my future going forward, speaking to people, is ask them to figure out what their big why is, or what their big rocks are, or what's important about maybe the 7 characteristics of life that's described in the One Thing book, and connect to that so that they can get out of bed in their hard days, so they can overcome life's obstacles when they show up and they want to push you back, right? You want to keep on pushing forward because it'll change your life, just small steps day by day.
Well, and when you have that compelling why, something that really does matter, and that's just last hour I was talking to an agent on her goals. And I said, look, don't come up with a number, come up with a life.
Yeah.
Then let's put a price tag to that life, and let's grow your money to your life, not shrink your life to your money. But it's got to be that compelling I must, not I wish. And when that comes down to it, and staying on course, sharing it to other people, with other people.
All right. Like your family.
Like your family.
Accountability.
That goes a long way.
Yeah.
Put yourself out there. When I ran my first marathon, I literally could not walk around the block. And at that time, I happened to have a radio show. And it was my whole area. I went on the radio show and said, I'm going to run a marathon in October. And it was New Year's. Okay. I put myself on the hook.
You did.
My listeners, I said, if you see me out, ask me, how am I doing? And halfway through the training, I broke my leg, compound fracture.
Wow.
But it's like, I made a commitment. So I did all my training on the elliptical. And finish the Chicago Marathon that October. So put yourself out there. The accountability to others, yourself, the systems,
Yeah.
drive yourself with that.
Yeah, I never could understand that. And that's an interesting statement you said, where you reduce your life to the money that you currently are making, right? Wow. And we do that. We let ourselves off the hook. We send our kids to school and tell them, you must get an A. You must do your best. You must achieve all that and become
Yeah.
all that you can, right? And then we don't as adults. That's interesting.
So for those that are listening, I mean, the real encouragement is dream, take the time to think about it,
Yeah.
put a price tag on that so that if your business is about funding that, understand what it will take. Don't reduce your dreams, up your activities to have that life, and tell other people and have the mechanisms and the people in your life to create that accountability, and you're going to hit that.
Right. That's true. Everyone comes into real estate with a blank $100,000 expectation.
Yeah.
And then what? We did the math on that, and what do you end up walking away with annually? 35,000 till you
Yeah.
pay your broker, pay your taxes, pay your expenses. And I was thinking about that even yesterday, and I thought people should come with 200,000, not like we talk about always in our bold classes, and that double your expectations and then double it again. And I'm
Right.
thinking, should we come with 400,000? Because I mean, we're going to have over 100 people exceed 100,000 in gross income this year, first time ever. But what's really possible if they would just show up, right?
And that, we need to do another discussion on that, is what could happen if you believed it could happen.
Yeah. The biggest difference I've seen in being in real estate for 20 years is the top producing age.
Have we started?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.